He had asked her about soliciting younger friends, and she mentioned a 9-year-old friend. The defendant got excited about that prospect and tried to convince her to talk her 9-year-old friend into having a threesome with him.
We're done at this point in time. We've got a fully executed plea document that provided in pertinent part that he was to serve 75 days in jail, and he's going into jail today.
I just saw the silhouette of the person and the gun. I don't recall seeing hands, but I did see that weapon pointed at me.
Courtroom 360 Insights. You ever heard the term a wolf in sheep's clothing? Well, that is exactly what these dirty cops are. Disguised in uniform and preying on innocent lives, they are adamant that no one will be able to detect or report their disgusting behavior. Here are 5 stank cops standing on the other side of the law. This is a sick pervert, Jayleen Fleer. Born in 1993, Jayleen Fleer served as a deputy sheriff in San Diego. Jayleen Fleer was a committed police officer who was well known for his moral character and professionalism in maintaining the peace and protecting the public. In high school, he participated in basketball and football before graduating. Additionally, he was happily married to a spouse. Jayleen Fleer is a perfect example of a wolf in freaking sheep's clothing. The alleged offenses happened from March 27, 2020 to April 8, 2020.
Not to mention that he played baseball.
The primary accusation against Fleer concerned his illicit sexual behavior with minor girls.
A former San Diego sheriff's deputy is heading to prison for more than a decade after being sentenced this afternoon for sexually abusing underage girls. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto, in for Barbara Lee Edwards. Tonight, we are learning new details about the extent of his crimes and the victims who say they had nowhere to turn to.
Aside from the first picture, which Fleer claimed to have taken at age 20, he also shared one other picture with minors, and this one was a nude picture. But when the interrogator asked him about it, he said that only his ex-girlfriend had access to it because he met her on Tinder, and he also sent it to his current wife. He then said that his wife was loyal enough not to leak the picture, and even though he had a bad breakup with his ex-girlfriend, he was also confident that she would not leak it. Obviously, this was a bad attempt at lying because he knew that he had sent it to the minors, and this was where the interrogator got the picture from.
Thank goodness this sick pervert's heinous behavior unfolded layer by layer. It was disclosed in the court that Jayleen would pay girls to spend time with him.
He tells multiple 12-year-old girls, "Do you have any younger friends who are interested in older men? I'll give you money to hook me up with them. The younger they are, the better."
In addition, this sick freak would coerce them into bringing their younger friends along. Secondly, Fleer would often date underage girls with the intention of initiating a sexual relationship. The majority of his victims were between the ages of 14 and 16.
Soliciting younger friends, and she mentioned a 9-year-old friend. The defendant got excited about that prospect and tried to convince her to talk her 9-year-old friend into having a threesome with him.
Jayleen Fleer, you're gonna burn in hell. Many of the individuals harmed by Jayleen's actions were reluctant to come forward.
The detail he goes into with regard to his sex exploits that he is trying to engage in with young children are just despicable.
With no intention to hide his profession, he unabashedly sent them pictures of himself dressed in his official uniform. He leveraged his authority as a law enforcement officer to instill fear in the girls and discourage them from telling on him.
Because these girls knew he was a law enforcement officer, they were afraid to go to the police. Jayleen Fleer entered a guilty plea to 20 felony and misdemeanor offenses following his arrest. This little sick pervert was found guilty by a judge of having illicit relationships with 4 young females and of trying to have sex with them. On June 18th, 2021, a San Diego judge sentenced Fleer.
I have never seen a more despicable set of facts as I've seen in this case.
Jayleen Fleer stared straight ahead as the judge handed down a total of 12 years in state prison. Fleer pleaded guilty last month to 20 counts of felony and misdemeanor charges involving sex acts with underage girls. Along with his 12-year sentence without probation, he will have to register as a sex offender for the rest of his life.
12 years? Man, get the hell out of here. That man just ruined these girls' lives and that's all this fool got? It should be mandatory life in prison or death sentence when you do this to kids. Let's take a look at another wolf in sheep's clothing. Wayne Couzens.
So we're here to talk to you about Sarah. Show the picture. Do you know Sarah?
I don't know.
Sarah Everard, 33, was abducted on the evening of March 3rd, 2021, in South London, England, while she was making her way from a friend's home close to Clapham Common to her neighborhood in Brixton Hill. Coward Wayne Couzens of the Metropolitan Police, who was not on duty, pulled over and accused poor Sarah of breaking lockdown. He seized her and put her in his car. Talk about abusing your power, and drove Everard to Dover. After that, the coward Couzens sexually assaulted and strangled Everard, set her body on fire, and disposed of her body in a pond in a neighboring forest. Before using his position as a police officer to abduct and kill Sarah Everard, Wayne Couzens was accused of sexual assault on a serial basis, including rapes. The full scope of his alleged crimes was exposed in a damning official investigation. This is wild. Get this though, his alleged offenses almost freaking date back 20 years, including multiple instances of indecent exposure, 2 accusations of freaking rape, and sexual assault of a girl who was hardly out of her teens. Man, get the hell out of here. How the hell did this guy even become a police officer? They do deeper background checks to work at McDonald's. There might be other victims who haven't come forward, and there might be other cops out there who are just as dangerous as Couzens, according to Lady Angelini, a former Lord Advocate of Scotland. In the statement, Everard's family blasted the police and described how her death had tormented every aspect of their lives. This fool should have never been a police officer. He was a serial sex offender while being in a position of trust. As a result,
the defendant is attending via a link from his prison. He's to stay seated where he is. For the offence against A, count 2 on indictment number T 2022-0638, the sentence is one of 19 months imprisonment. There will be concurrent sentences of 6 months on each of counts 2 and 3 on indictment T 2022-0320. The total sentence is accordingly one of 19 months. As I have already said, to the existing whole-of-life sentence, from which the defendant will never be released.
Wayne Couzens received a life sentence. That's crazy. My opinion, he should have got a death penalty. But what about the next case? Aaron Dean. In 2019, a neighbor asked for a wellness check on Jefferson's mother's house, where she was watching her nephew, by calling a non-emergency police number. While responding to a complaint of open doors at her residence, Dean shot and murdered Tatiana Jefferson through the window of her bedroom. Jefferson's little nephew, who was up late playing video games with her, saw her die.
Put your hands up! Show me your hands!
Question: why the hell wouldn't these officers announce who they are? Why would you sneak around the back? Why wouldn't a Tatiana be afraid that there's an intruder? Make it make sense.
Officer Darch. He responded to Tatiana Jefferson's home along with Erin Dean. She was in the same graduating class. They were both relative rookies, 18 months on the job. She became very emotional on the stand, retelling the events of the shooting and what she says was her biggest worry.
Did you ever see a Tatiana's gun?
No, ma'am. I saw her face.
Is that burned in your memory?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever hear the defendant say gun?
No, ma'am.
What about as you guys run inside that house? Does he ever warn you that she has a gun?
Not that I can remember, no.
Do you want to be here?
No.
Has this been extremely difficult for you over these last 3 years?
Yes, ma'am. No one wants to be involved in a shooting.
Sure. You're in your heart. What are you the most concerned about?
He's all right.
What about
Just how he is, his well-being.
Do you know that he testified yesterday?
Yes, ma'am.
Days later, he quit from the Fort Worth Police Department before Dean's use of force and de-escalation rules could be terminated by the chief of police. When Jefferson was killed, her 8-year-old nephew was there in the room. He was 11 when he gave his testimony in court.
Seen her fell on the ground.
Did you see did you see anything outside the window?
No, sir.
You didn't see a man with a badge?
No, sir.
Dean was informed that he might serve more than 10 years in prison. He showed no emotion as Judge George Gallagher read the jury's verdict. Although Dean was first charged with murder, the judge in the case informed the jury that they might also consider a manslaughter conviction, which carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in jail in Texas, before the panel started deliberating. Later on, Dean received a prison sentence of 11 years, 10 months, and 12 days.
Verdict reads, we the jury, having found the defendant Aaron York Dean guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of the offense of manslaughter, assess his punishment at confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for 11 years, 10 months, 12 days.
Here are two other cop officers, Sean Corder and Orlando Trinidad. When Marcus Jeter was pulled over in June 2012 while driving on the Garden State Parkway, he was charged with attempting to take the officer's gun, avoiding arrest, and resisting arrest. Jeter was charged with 5 years in prison. After a verbal argument with his partner, Jeter had willingly left his house. According to reports, when Corder stopped Jeter, he refused to get out of his car. Corder and Trinidad then hit Jeter's car from the front, smashed one of the windows, and dragged Jeter out. According to police reports, Corder from Englishtown and Trinidad from Bloomsfield stated that Jeter attempted to take Corder's gun and hit Trinidad. Based on the footage from one of the officer's dashboard cameras, Jeter was charged with aggravated assault, resisting arrest, and other charges. But Jeter used an open records request to obtain a second police dashcam footage. When all the footage were combined, he was seen holding his hands up almost the whole time.
This is the Bloomfield Police Department's dashcam video that prosecutors say they never saw when they pursued criminal charges against 30-year-old Marcus Jeter. Notice his hands in the air. He was charged with eluding police, resisting arrest, and assault. And also notice who throws repeated punches.
Charges against Jeter were dropped. Trinidad Corder pleaded not guilty.
Hadn't surfaced.
I was going to be doing jail.
Police officers Sean Corder, there on the left, and Orlando Trinidad, who you will see here on the right, were arraigned on charges including conspiracy, official misconduct, and falsifying reports. Trinidad is also charged with aggravated assault. They pleaded not guilty.
Idiots. Albert Sutherland entered a guilty plea in 2013 to charges of fabricating and tampering with records.
Possible so I can go back to support and raise my family. I love my children more than anything in the world, and I know they need me. I don't want them to have to suffer, switch schools, lose friends, lose the house that they're raised in. I don't want them to become emotionally scarred from me being away. And I'm sorry, a lot of that stuff I haven't heard from my wife, and it kind of hit me. I haven't been away from my kids for more than a day, and since being incarcerated, I miss Christmas. I miss my little Sabrina's birthday. I miss my Kylie the Rose ride at high school, which I was practicing with her. And I also missed a lot of Boy Scout events for my son Connor. I love my kids and my family, Your Honor, and if you could please impose the least possible sentence so I can get back to supporting and raising my family.
You fool, Quarter crying about missing out on his kids? Well, sir, you chose to lie on this man, and he was about to spend 5 years in jail while you went on about your life. That's wild. Don't nobody feel sorry for you. Let's get to this last case of a cop who just won't shut up. Todd Pate. March 2019, 51-year-old Pate was arrested and charged with his second DUI while, get this, he was still the frickin' sheriff. This sheriff was now on the other side of the law, and he didn't like that too much.
Is that your phone, Mr. Pate?
Yes, it is.
You need to put it away.
Okay. I was just
You need to put it away.
Okay.
The disrespect. You should know better than that, Sheriff.
Can I make somewhat of a statement?
That is a yes or no answer, sir.
There was a deal on the table. 75 days in jail with credit for time served. Pate didn't like this.
You're going to stop wasting my time and everybody else's time this afternoon.
Ma'am, I'm not trying to waste your time.
And then is it your intention to enter a guilty plea at this time or not, sir?
No. Why am I wasting your time,
Chambers?
This led to a short recess. Hopefully Pate's attorney can talk some sense into the sheriff.
I had every intention of coming in here today and entering a guilty plea.
Payton was talking responsibility for his bad decisions, but he still had to add his 2 cents.
Thank God I didn't kill anybody.
He also voiced his frustrations.
He was also frustrated, claiming that if it was someone else, they wouldn't have charged him with a first-degree assault.
Let me just plea and get it over with for everybody. Plea to something that I absolutely do not feel good about, but I don't want you to try to send me to the penitentiary for years and years. If you can sleep with it, I can sleep with it.
The judge was over it.
We're done at this point in time. We've got a fully executed plea document that provided in pertinent part that he was to serve 75 days in jail, and he's going into jail today.
Todd Pate took the deal, 75 days in county jail with credit for time served. As a law enforcement officer, your fundamental duty is to serve the community, to safeguard lives and property, to protect the innocent against deception, the weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against violence or disorder, and to respect the constitutional rights of all to liberty, equality, and justice. These stank cops did the community dirty and put a bad rep on law enforcement. May God have mercy on your soul, because we don't. Courtroom 360 Insights.